Mogul Motivation, empowering and inspiring entrepreneurs and dream chasers worldwide, 1 week at a time. Presented by True Stories Media. And I am your host, Antoine Twiz Taylor. Hello everybody, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mogul Motivation. Welcome back, I'm happy that you are here. If this is your first time listening, this podcast is for the aspiring entrepreneur trying to get over that hump and make things happen. This podcast is for anybody with a dream that wants to go forward and accomplish that dream. I don't have children at the moment in my life. I'm not a parent, but I do know many friends. I'm close to many people that do have children. And they all say similar things, like when their children are going through that terrible twos, toddler phase, when they start to have random tantrums and outbursts over virtually nothing. They all say that they just allow them to get it all out their system. They allow them to scream, to shout, to cry and whine, and they ignore them until eventually they tire and they fall asleep, or that they just let it go. And they all say this because they're having a tantrum over nothing. So because they're having a tantrum over nothing, there is no real way to solve the problem because the problem doesn't exist. So the best viable route is to allow them to get it out their system, ignore them, and go on about their day. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of skill to do that. It's easier said than done when you don't have a screaming child next to you in the same room as you, but it takes a lot of skill and it takes a lot of patience to accomplish that. And it's effective. That's what all of my friends with children say. They say similar things like that. I have no problem apologizing. In fact, I will argue that I apologize too much in my life over the course of my 35 years on this earth. I remember there was times where I will apologize to people to simply just keep the peace. Even though I didn't do anything wrong, I will apologize to people to keep the peace and to try to make amends so that things can remain intact, when that was not my job at all, and I should not have been issuing apologies at all. And I'm talking about my personal life as well as my entrepreneurial life. I have no problem apologizing. If I make a mistake, I apologize for that mistake, I make amends, and I compensate the client for that, or I compensate whoever I have offended for that. But when you have done nothing wrong, when you truly did everything that you were supposed to do, when you truly have handled yourself in the proper way that you should have handled yourself, professionalism, never apologize. And I'm talking specifically in business and in your entrepreneurial journey right now. Never apologize when you did nothing wrong. See, this is a mistake that a lot of small business owners, especially small black business owners, make. And I'm not necessarily blaming you and saying it's your fault, but because we're already battling a stigma, right? Because people already look at small black businesses with a certain stigma, we're always going to be a easy target for frustration and to be a scapegoat. So because of that, when things go left, customers and clients tend to shout and scream because they want to be compensated because something wasn't conveyed to them, or because they didn't read a contract, or because they didn't properly communicate what they wanted. So they want to be compensated for their own error. And as small business owners, because we don't want to deal with the chaos, we tend to give compensation, whether it's a full refund, a partial refund, or some sort of free product or service just to shut them up. And I'm telling you right now, if you did that in the past, don't do that ever again. You only compensate a customer or a client if you made a mistake, if something wasn't properly communicated to that customer or client, or if you didn't fulfill the product or the service in the way that you promised to that customer or client. That's when you compensate them. That's when you apologize to them. That's when you provide either a full refund, a partial refund, or something free to appease them. Because you made a mistake, and that's nothing wrong. That's what you should do. You compensate them to the degree of the error. If the error calls for a full refund, you give them a full refund. If the error calls for a partial refund, you give them a partial refund. If the error calls for something free, you give them something free. But don't you ever apologize ever again in your entrepreneurial career when you did nothing wrong. And I'm basically piggybacking off last week's episode and last week's fiasco when I was dealing with a client that was extremely upset with me and was demanding a refund. They went from demanding a full refund to insulting me in between and berating me to demanding a partial refund. refund. But throughout it all, I stuck to my guns and I did not give them anything because I did nothing wrong. It's not my fault you didn't read your contract. It's not my fault you didn't communicate to me your vision. It's not my fault that you failed to do any of these things. It's not my fault that you assumed you was going to get certain things based on some other photographer you worked with in the past. None of that is my fault. So therefore, I am not giving you anything. I am unapologetic. And when you are unapologetic in your career and in your business life, you will stand firm on that, because when you operate as a professional, when you operate with integrity, when you continue to do what you say you are going to do, when you treat every customer, every client, no matter the scope of the work or the price point, the same, you are unapologetic. If people want to throw a tantrum, let them throw a tantrum. If people want to get angry, let them get angry. If people want to insult you, let them insult you. It's going to be frustrating on the inside, because better believe on the inside and on my end, I was angry. I couldn't believe that this woman was attacking me in the way she was attacking me out of nowhere, and didn't really expect it to get a refund on top of that. But through it all, I remained professional. I kept my composure in dealing with this person, and I did not issue a refund. I did not issue anything to compensate her, because she didn't deserve that and I did nothing wrong. I want you to understand that. So when you're dealing with a customer, when you're dealing with a client that has very strong malice in their words and they're acting hellacious and they're throwing a tantrum, ask yourself and be honest. Did I make an error at any shape or form throughout this process? And be honest with yourself. If the answer is truly no, you don't give them anything. You tell them that it's unfortunate that things turned out this way. You are sorry that they're upset, but you're not apologizing for anything. You're not giving them anything because they don't deserve it and you didn't do anything wrong. As an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, remain unapologetic on your journey. The past is the past. We can't change that. But as long as you communicate to every customer and every client and every person you're dealing with on every project what you're going to provide, as long as you continue to do what you say you were going to do on time, they don't deserve a refund. I don't care if it's $1,000 or $1. They don't deserve that. And you don't deserve to be treated like that. So continue to operate in the manner that you have been operating and watch the blessings continue to multiply. Watch that scarcity that you believe you have be multiplied by God's power, and watch the blessings continue to overflow and your business and your endeavors continue to grow. And the same goes in your personal life. If you did nothing wrong to anybody, if you did nothing wrong to people, don't apologize to people. Don't make the same mistake I made. If you did something wrong, if you offended somebody, absolutely you apologize and you do what you can to make amends. But if you truly operate in integrity at every step of the way, you don't give anybody anything. So that's my message today, everybody. Let's continue to work. Let's continue to imagine reality and continue to remain unapologetic in your business life, your entrepreneurial life, your personal life. Don't allow anyone to make you out to be a villain when the entire time you are truly just being yourself and walking with integrity. So if this podcast has benefited you in any way, shape, or form, I ask for two things as always. Number one, please leave a 5-star review. And number two, pass it on to a friend who may benefit from it as well. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you next week.